So an interesting thought that I had as you were talking is, when you look at what you built in with a cosmetic company, like surely there was some point in time where your brain was like, you're crazy, Jaime. What are you doing?
Yes. Yes.
And how did you handle that? Because I think people could leave a podcast like this, listening to this, and they're like, okay, I'm going to listen to my gut. I'm going to start speaking up for myself. Yeah. And then they get it in action, and the brain's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Yes, exactly. And self-doubt will kill more dreams than almost anything else.
Yeah.
And our thoughts get so loud. And often what will happen is someone might listen to us right now and like, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell that person I want to be more than just friends. Or I'm going to decide I'm going to make adult friendships. Or I'm going to put my offering out into the world or launch the business. And then all of a sudden, right, they're around other people. And it could be people who love them very much. And they're the ones saying things like, oh, you're crazy.
Right.
Right. So, okay. Something so important. Oh, I pray these words stick to someone right now because they have been life-changing for me. So I was adopted the day I was born, and through various family divorces and all kinds of stuff, I have 5 families. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
that's got to be a wicked Christmas.
It is. I feel so, oh gosh, some of my step families I'm just so close to and just so loving and all the things. And I feel very, very grateful and blessed for the families in my life. And with that said, not a single person I'm aware of in any of my 5 families has ever gone to therapy. We learned if you have an issue, you just stuff it down or you don't talk about it, you pretend, all the things. And growing up, I had really big ideas and big dreams. And I often felt like if I shared them with the people around me, they didn't quite get it. And they would often say things like, you're crazy. Almost like people like us, that doesn't, those things like that don't happen to people like us.
Right.
You're crazy, you're odd. And I always felt like I was a little different or like I don't belong.
I think, by the way, a lot of people feel that. I just want to point that out for our listeners. Like, I think I don't belong, I'm not enough shows up in everybody's mind.
Yes. And you saying that is so important because we often feel we're alone in that.
That's right. That's why I want to highlight it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We feel like, okay, so everyone listening to us. Okay, this is like a big, I wish everyone was like,
I know, that's right.
We're in this group hug right now because we all feel this way. So many of us feel this way. So right now, if you feel like you don't quite fit in the friend group or you feel different or you feel like you have to conform to fit in, there's a whole chapter in Worthy called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. And
I saw that.
Here's how this happened. I was really struggling the first time in my life. I was working in television news. I was doing overnights. I was in love with my now husband, but scared to get married because of the examples I have seen in my family. And it was the first time in my life I'd ever had panic attacks, and I didn't even know what they were. And I sought out therapy, and no one in any of my families had ever done that. And I'll never forget, I asked my therapist, I said, I am always told I'm a little different or a little odd or I don't quite fit in. And I'm like, and they call me words like, odd or crazy or, and I have these big dreams. And I asked her, am I crazy? And she's like, no, you're not crazy, but I'm really glad you're here. And she said, when you are the first in your families or your peer group to actually tune into who you really are and want to show up as who you are, you're going to feel like you don't belong because you're first. You're the first ever you. And I remember leaving that session and I remember having this aha moment that was like a light bulb, so bright it burst, where I just was like, I'm not crazy. I'm just first.
Yeah.
Right? And every single person with us right now, listening to this, watching this, you're the first you there's ever been. There's whatever you believe, what I know for sure is like your creator made you. There's no one else like you in the whole universe. No one with your thoughts. We all have unique retinas. We all have unique fingerprints. Our tongue prints are unique. Our heartbeats are there's not another you in existence. So if you actually are one of the brave ones willing to show up in this world as who you truly authentically are, you're first. There's never been another you, right? And so don't be surprised if not everyone gets you and not everyone understands your dreams and your visions and your hopes. Like they were given to you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the number of times, Mindy, to answer your question, that in building It Cosmetics, when I would get rejection after rejection after rejection, and I was like, oh, I just, I want to do things this way. I keep feeling like I should show real women my rosacea and put, models. When I finally got, after 3 years of hearing no's from every beauty retailer, because they would always, like all the department stores would say, they would always use this word. They'd say, women will never buy makeup from images like this. You have to use unattainable aspiration. That was always the word, unattainable aspiration.
Gosh.
And I'm like, I get that's what's always been done, but what if, and my big kind of deep why for the company was like, I was raised watching beauty commercials and seeing the ads in magazines. I loved them. I always aspired to look that way, but deep down inside, they always made me feel like I wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so what if I can try to do a company where the products are great, but that every model is, every age, shape, size, skin tone, skin challenge, and show my own issues, right? And call them beautiful models and mean it, and try to in a big way shift the whole definition of beauty in the industry for every little girl out there who's about to start doubting herself, and every grown woman who still does. So I had like this big vision, but they were all saying no over and over and over. And a lot of times I would remind myself, like, okay, I really value their opinion. I used to save my Denny's tip money to buy a lipstick in their stores, but they're wrong. And I'm not crazy. I'm just first.
Yeah.
And
it's a good mantra. I find those one-liners to snap you out of it are so powerful. And a lot of your chapter titles, by the way, that's the other part of a book that I'm obsessed with, are chapter titles, because they really, I don't know if you write the title before you write the chapter or after, but it's fun to think of, like, if I could take one statement that I'm trying to get across here, what would that one statement be? And then you put it as a chapter title.
Yes.
So yours are all fabulous like that.